Another one of the books I read was The Book Thief by Marcus Zusak. Really, I think it's for high school age kids, perhaps even juniors and seniors, just because the plot and perspective and metaphors can be pretty difficult to keep track of sometimes. And the book is quite long, so it might discourage some younger readers from wanting to finish it, but it's definitely a worthwhile read. Marcus Zusak is an Australian author who has received a lot of recognition and awards for his other book, I Am the Messenger. And he set out to write a novel about World War II and the Holocaust, which is what The Book Thief is based on, because he wanted to represent what his parents had seen in Nazi Germany. And the main character in this book is actually the person who happens to be the book thief. Her name is Liesel. She's a young girl coming into adolescence through the story. It all starts when her brother dies on the train when they're being brought to foster care, and the thievery progresses from there. One of the most interesting things about this novel is that the book isn't told from the point of view of any of the main characters. The narrator is actually Death, who is kind of embodied and personified, kind of like this Grim Reaper character, though quite early on he tells you that he doesn't look like what we think a Grim Reaper would look like. And he's a pretty interesting narrator. He's become very interested in Liesel and her story, and he wants to share it. There's also this dimension of he sees colors in the sky when people die, and he can also feel people's souls because he takes them with him. And that's just a really interesting aspect to add to this whole story. This was much different than the other World War II and Holocaust book I read on my list, which was The Boy Who Dared. This was much less straightforward, and it gave me enough details to keep me really satisfied at the end, and definitely enough emotion also to keep me satisfied at the end. There are moments in this book that will make you want to cry, make you want to yell out in anger, and even make you laugh. And I think that's a great dynamic for the book to have. I would absolutely love to use this novel in my class or recommend it to any of my students. I think as a teacher you could come up with some pretty interesting lessons on point of view and perspective for this book, just because it is told from such an interesting point of view. Why I really fell in love with this book, though, was because it showcases the power of words, and which was a really big thing in Nazi Germany. I mean, that is how Hitler ran Nazi Germany, with his words. And subsequently, that's how Liesel becomes empowered by reading words, and by learning things that way, and that kind of tracks her whole story. And it showcases this power in such a unique way that I couldn't put it down. I couldn't stop reading it. I wanted to know what was going to happen. It's definitely a unique novel and definitely a good read, and I hope that some of you will be interested in reading it. If you want to learn more about the author or about any of the awards or recognition that he's gained for his other works, please go visit the authors page and the resources page.